And a very good morning to you. Can you believe it is Wednesday morning? We're already midway through, and I'm like scrambling because I forgot the date and I didn't put it down. But we'll pretend we know what oh, wait a second. It's September 24th. Thank you. This is, if I told you how many years in television this has happened where I forgot to put the date in, you would laugh. But nonetheless, it just says we're human. It's 7 a.m., Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888 658 0234. We have some clouds this morning. Showers on and off in the afternoon. Highs upper 70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of the Garden State forecast. Mike, literally, I've been doing this since the age of 12. I'm 58. That is one of the first things I'm supposed to do is put the new date in, and I always forget.
And the day of the week too. I mean, there's only five of them that were on the air, that then yet seems that it just passes you by because the weeks fly by. Still can't believe it's almost the end of September. Where did the month go? So, yep.
I'm with you.
We've got
I'm with you.
right. Well, there's a little bit of a throwback to a summer-like feel today because it's humid outside. You step outdoors this morning, you see the dew. A little bit of rain came through last night. More rain is on the way today, but it's really the warmth. That's 70 degrees starting our morning. That's a few degrees away from where we typically have our afternoon high this time of day. And with all of the warm weather ahead, it'll feel quite mild, even warmer than yesterday. And yesterday was pretty warm, 9 degrees warmer than this time yesterday in Sussex, and 4 degrees warmer in Long Branch. It is quite humid thanks to that higher level of humidity, the southerly breeze, the dew points keeping the air quite saturated in the upper, with the dew points in the upper 60s. So we had a few showers that came through last night, maybe heard a rumble of thunder. More rain is on the way for today of a steadier variety, even get some thunderstorms again before the day is through. So notice the wind pushing in all of that warm air from the south, gusting at times up to 25 miles per hour on LBI, even gusty breezes there toward Newark. We tap into some of those downpours later on this evening, some of which could even include some embedded gusty winds at times, and then keep that southwesterly breeze for the next several days. That's what keeps the temperature warm and the humidity quite high. So with that, look at those temperatures climbing into the upper 80s there in Trenton, even upper 70s in Newark. Have a few rounds of rain that come through this evening, but I think another round through the overnight. This is into tomorrow morning with some heavy downpours as well. So we're not out of the woods with the warm winds just yet, and it stays muggy. It stays humid, even some downpours there as they cross through central and southern New Jersey tomorrow night, leading to another kind of wet day ahead on Friday. Now, we could get some breaks in the clouds on Friday, helping to warm back into the mid 80s with some sunshine, but I think there's still a heavy dose of clouds on the way for Saturday as we start off still very mild to start off the day Saturday and then bring back a drier feel by Sunday. So it takes some time to ultimately clear out, but we're still pushing 80 by Saturday afternoon, especially with those breaks in the clouds throughout the end of the day. Sunday looks much drier and it will feel more like fall, especially with that drier feel. So the forecast brings back the rain today, chances of rain tomorrow into Friday, and then Saturday starting to clear things out and cooling off just in time for Sunday when it'll finally feel more like fall. We've got those details ahead of what to expect for the weekend. Coming up, Ken, with your weekend forecast.
So what you're saying is Sunday I should get on a plane and go to Australia, and I'll spend the 6 months down under where it's getting warmer, and it'll stay warm for the entire 6 months. Okay, I'm making a note right now. I mean, how expensive could it be, and how long could the flight be? I mean, really, I'm just saying. All right, Mike, we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. We do have some traffic already to talk about. And remember, it is still a gridlock alert week in Manhattan as the UN General Assembly remains in session. So avoid driving into Manhattan altogether. If you watched yesterday, you saw French President Macron. He had to get out and walk. And by the way, you can't always get out and walk. Sometimes the police gridlock off. They put up barricades so you can't even cross the street. They'll make you stand there 20 minutes if there's a dignitary about to drive by for security reasons. So just avoid, if you could work from home for the next week, do it. Certainly avoid driving into Manhattan. Take mass transit or work from home. At least avoid the Upper East Side. Okay, so we have a crash now in the New Jersey Turnpike, I 80 northbound, south of I 80 Express and local lanes in Ridgefield Park. We have a view of it here from, this is the 80 side, I believe. We have it. All right. So we will have to show it next segment. But the left shoulder is blocked. There are emergency vehicles on the scene right now. We also have a crash on I-80 eastbound west of exit 60, Route 20 in Patterson. The right shoulder's closed there. Crash on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound south of Northern Mixing Bowl in Ridgefield with the right shoulder blocked. Then we have a crash on the Turnpike northbound south of Interchange 6 by the Pennsylvania Turnpike in Mansfield with the right shoulder blocked there. Crash investigation, Route 30 westbound, which is Baird Boulevard in Camden. 3 right lanes closed. It's a mess. And then we have a lot of volume with delays. Route 20 northbound from 30th Street to Route 652 in Patterson. All lanes are open, but it's extremely heavy through there. Your Hudson River crossings right now, it's 20 minutes at the Holland Tunnel. It's 25 at the Lincoln. We take a look at the GWB upper and lower level approaches. Kind of slow on the upper level, which is on your right. It's a good flow on the lower level on your left. We're told 20 to 25 minutes across on the lower level. So that would be on your left-hand side. 7:06 is our time right now, and guilty on all counts. That's what a jury determined for would-be Trump assassin Ryan Ruth. Ruth attempted to assassinate then presidential candidate Donald Trump at his West Palm Beach golf club last September. After the verdict was read, Ruth reportedly tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen before 4 U.S. Marshals restrained him. I believe we should have video of Ryan Ruth. We should have that sent in. His daughter, Sarah Ruth, reportedly stood up and shouted obscenities in the courtroom after the conviction while the jury was still there. The 59-year-old Ruth, who represented himself, was charged with 5 federal criminal counts, including attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate, assaulting a federal officer, and firearms offenses. He could get life in prison when he is sentenced in December. It is 7:07. President Trump addressed the United Nations General Assembly yesterday and ripped into the world leaders who were present, accusing the world body of offering nothing more but empty words.
All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
President Trump called climate change a con job and warned that open borders are destroying their nations. Trump began his speech to the UN General Assembly by venting his frustration that the UN had not done more to support his diplomatic efforts. He chastised the organization over an escalator that broke down. We have video of that, I know. It broke down just as First Lady Melania Trump was stepping onto it. You have to see it. So I'm going to wait until Pam finds it. I know we have it. There we go. Thank you, Pam. So watch what happens right here. This is just, it's either scumbags on the left who are trying to be asses and they think they're funny, but they're causing a major international security problem right there because the president was now in danger. So it's not funny if you're a jackass who decided to stop the escalator. And then he managed to get up the stairs by walking. Now, you think Biden could have walked those stairs? No, they would have promptly moved him away to some other place to get him upstairs. But either it's an ass who thinks they're funny and they're going to make fun of Trump, and somebody needs to be fired, or the U.S. should just withhold $1 billion of finance to the UN, which is a piece of crap organization that has done nothing, as the president pointed out. It's done nothing but take money from wealthier nations and give it to poorer nations where corrupt third world dictators take the money and put it in their pockets and do nothing to feed their people. That's what the UN has been for decades, a scam. And that's basically what the president was telling them to their faces. We know you're a bunch of con artists and scamsters, so stop pulling your BS. Get on board, start acting like leaders, start acting professionally, and make this an organization worthy of being what it's supposed to be. So you can see First Lady Melania Trump steps onto the escalator, and that's when it stops. Then when he gets into the UN, the teleprompter malfunctions. Doesn't malfunction for anyone else, but it malfunctions for him. It's an 80-year-old UN building. He's been calling for it to be renovated for decades. It looks like grandma's living room circa 1943. It's smelly. It's old. I've been there 100 times. Take the billions that you're getting from all these governments and make the place look nice, or move the damn thing out of New York and turn it into high-rise housing on the East River. It's really an embarrassment. 7:10 right now, and President Trump called on NATO countries yesterday to shoot down any Russian jets that violate their airspace. You could bet that got Vladimir Putin's attention. He was asked about it yesterday during a bilateral meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Listen up.
Do you that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
Mr. President,
Both leaders were in Manhattan yesterday, of course, for the UN General Assembly we pointed out a moment ago. The statement came hours after Trump slammed the UN for not assisting his administration's peace push and for creating new problems for the U.S. and member nations. The Secret Service has disrupted a sprawling telecommunications network in the New York tri-state that investigators say posed a serious potential disruption to the region's telecom systems and a possible threat to the UN General Assembly meetings this week. In the largest seizure of its kind ever, the Secret Service announced yesterday that the agency found what are called active SIM farms at abandoned apartment buildings located at more than 5 sites. So you know what a SIM is, those little red things you see there? Those are the little cards that usually go into the bottom slot like that. You can kind of see it there. See that? Right there, that little slot on your phone. Those are called SIM cards that slide in there. Bet you didn't even realize you had one on your phone. That's what identifies the phone. It identifies who the owner is. There's a long, like a 50-digit code. Well, these were artificial. These were intentionally manufactured SIM cards. Basically, what they would do is when transmitted out, it could take over your cell identification and it could look into your phone, it could talk to your friends and tell them that it's you. It would basically be a clone phony version of your phone, and there were hundreds of them. So in total, law enforcement discovered 300 SIM servers, over 100,000 SIM cards, enabling encrypted anonymous communication and capable of sending 30 million text messages per minute. Do you realize the consequences of that? You could have had one of those cards emulating a world leader telling its own security force, I'm under attack, come save me, or launch a missile. That could have all happened with whoever did this. So they haven't announced whether they know. I'm sure they have some idea of who did this, but they say that the servers were so powerful they could have literally disabled cell phone towers and launched distributed denial of services, those are DDSs, with the ability to block emergency communications like EMS and police dispatch. So there would have been little we could have done. They could have shut down the city. So the investigation remains ongoing. You bet they're going to try to find whoever did this and put them in jail and make an example of them, because that that is cybersecurity breached like none other right there. They need to find out. By the way, they also found 80 grams of cocaine. So somebody's also a drug head, whoever was putting these things together. They'll figure it out. They'll find out who was leasing the apartments. Believe me, they're not that stupid. They didn't find this by being stupid. So we'll see where it goes. Hey, some good news for New Jersey. U.S. News released their ranking of universities for 2026. New Jersey's Princeton University has ranked #1 nationally. Congratulations, Princeton. Other schools in New Jersey making the list are Rutgers New Brunswick, coming in at number 45, followed by Rutgers Newark in 75th place. Both the New Jersey Institute of Technology and Stevens Institute of Technology tied for 80th. That's great because they're talking thousands of colleges. In the regional universities in the north, the College of New Jersey ranked 4th overall. Congratulations to our fine institutions of higher education. Good for you. 7:13, we are counting down to the election. We're just 41 days out as of this morning, and many are excited about casting a vote for governor. In fact, early voting by mail is already underway. So, they were mailed out, I think, on the 20th, just 4 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, 4 days ago. So that's why some people have gotten their vote by mail. If you selected it, you had to have requested a ballot by mail. So early voting by mail is underway. Early voting in person doesn't happen until the end of October, a week before the election. But if you want to vote by mail and you requested your ballot, if you didn't get it yet, you'll get it any day. Now, there is a lot on the ballot to vote for other than the next governor. Newark voters, for instance, must choose a city council member for the Central Ward in a special election after Democrat LaMonica MacGyver, who's under indictment, remember, federal indictment, resigned in order to take her seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. In the race, there are 5 nonpartisan candidates. If you'd like more information, because there's a lot of names to read, just visit ballotpedia.org. Ballotpedia, Ballotpedia, ballotpedia.org to find out everything on New Jersey ballots this November. Well, Jimmy Kimmel was back on the air last night, sort of. 66 ABC affiliate TV stations in key markets, including Washington, D.C., throughout the United States, refused to air the left-wing activist, and he is a left-wing activist. He's not just once you delve into politics and refuse to change your mind on things, you're a left-wing activist. I'm sorry, you're not a comedian. So the stations that we mentioned are owned and operated by both Sinclair and Nexstar broadcasting companies. They cover about 60% of the total population of the US. So even though they only represent in numbers 20% of all ABC affiliates, they cover with their signals 60% of the overall population of eyeballs that can watch ABC stations. So the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was back on, but he couldn't be seen by nearly 2/3 of the United States unless you subscribe to Hulu Plus. That's the only way you could see him live. If you have regular Hulu, you could see him today, but you couldn't see him live last night. So that's significant. So Disney ABC only actually owns 8 of its own TV stations, and they cover about 22% of the US population. So even though he was back on the show again, he was only seen in total by about 40% of the United States. In total. And he had low ratings to begin with. So imagine now take away 60% of those low ratings, not a lot of people watching. Remember why he was yanked off 2 weeks ago. He was talking about Charlie Kirk's assassin, saying that the assassin, Robinson, was a MAGA supporter. And they said that no matter how much the other side tries to make him out to be a left winger, he's a MAGA supporter, which was an out and out lie. We knew for about 2 days exactly who this person was. It had been announced by the governor of Utah. They knew exactly that this guy had been radicalized and left wing. But nonetheless, Jimmy Kimmel could have caused riots in this country by doing what he did, by getting up there and lying. He refused to apologize initially. Last night, he still didn't officially apologize, but what he did say was he never meant to make fun. He was not making fun of the murder of a young man, he said. He got a little emotional. Of course, yeah. I'm sure he wasn't thinking about Charlie Kirk. He was thinking about his career. I can't speak. That's just my guess. I don't know that for fact, clearly. I have met the man in the past. Don't know him personally, but I have met the man. He's a little full of himself from my gathering. So, and he and Bob Iger, the chairman of Disney, are best friends. They're like this. They hang out together. They're both left-wing radicals. Bob Iger fancies himself the next president. He wants that so badly he could taste it, which is why he resigned as chairman originally of Disney so that he could contemplate a run. And then when he saw that wasn't going to happen, he came back, or he said that they begged him to come back. Whatever. I don't know. I don't understand how ABC believes that his show is marketable now when he has such a tiny viewership, literally like 80,000 or 70,000 18 to 34-year-old viewers in the entire country. And I say that number because that's inclusive of the 60% Sinclair and Nexstar not transmitting his show. So we'll see what happens. Eventually, the advertising is going to dry up. You can't afford to pay somebody $15 million a year when there ain't no advertising for it. So ABC has 8 months left with his contract. We'll see what happens then. 718. Clouds this morning, showers on and off this afternoon, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your Garden State forecast. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Tell us what you feel. Tell us if you saw Jimmy Kimmel. He was, of course, on in the New York Tri-State last night. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. I'm Ken Rosato, 719, taking calls at 888-658-0234, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a sticky Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Yeah, there's some humidity out there, so there's some showers. It feels muggy. Not exactly like a fall morning because you have the warm air in addition to that high humidity. Like you said, making it feel sticky with some clouds right now over New Jersey, even some showers moving in throughout the rest of the morning. So, with the temperatures slightly cooler than yesterday, it won't be as warm, but it's just about as humid, if not more humid, this afternoon in Toms River. 80 as your high, 81 back by Freehold and Mattawan. We'll tap into some more of those showers later today, and then another round of rain gets going this afternoon. You really have to head back over toward the very western section of the state there, toward Flemington and back over by Warren County, Hunterdon County, and Sussex, where the fog is thick. There's even some dense fog advisories posted west of the Delaware, but across most of the state, at least the eastern half, we're running clear at the moment. But I think that fog gets a little bit worse before it gets better. In terms of rainfall, you see that little blob of green develop here across the northern and central part. That could take us up to about an inch of rainfall by this time tomorrow. So we get a good soaking, and we could use the rain, especially with these downpours that come through later on tonight. Had a few sprinkles roll through just around midnight that came through the central part of the state, but more wet weather is on the way. It's lined up all back across the Midwest, and this is our next batch of rain, which comes in later on tonight into tomorrow and even for the early part of the day on Friday. With that, it's coupled with some very high humidity. When that dew point hits 70, that feels really humid, and it will be going into tomorrow and especially for Thursday afternoon with those dew points holding in the 70s. That's summertime humidity by the end of the evening. So the air conditioners will be back on pretty much all night long, and then you see those dry temperatures where it falls back into the 50s by Friday and Saturday. I think Sunday is where we really enjoy the dry weather. There's some system that tries to work up the coast and throw back some moisture our way. This could be a named tropical system. It's a little too far in the future to predict exactly where it'll go, but plan on maybe some rain and wind by early next week, Monday, Tuesday timeframe. The weekend is okay, but into next week, depending on where that system wants to set up, I think it's one to watch, especially offshore. Right now, the primary focus would be beach erosion because the beaches have already taken quite a battering so far this year. So for the weekend, we start off a little wet with some lingering early morning sprinkles, but I think it trends drier with just some clouds around, still warm at 78, and then drier still with less humidity by Sunday. That helps us climb to 80 degrees. So a pretty decent weekend looking ahead after quite a bit of rain. If you're doing the pumpkin picking or the hay rides, there's probably going to be quite a bit of mud around, especially if you're doing the apple picking too. Those orchards tend to get pretty muddy. So keep that in mind if you make those plans. Got to get the extra big boots when you're headed out this weekend.
So the question is, if you're not really pumpkin picking pumpkins because they're just like
Right.
bought at
Well, you're
at the
picking them off the
Publix.
ground, so that's how they get around it.
But picking means you're taking them off the frickin' vine. It doesn't mean like like I could go to the supermarket, buy it and put it on the dirt in my
Pick a
backyard. That's
pumpkin.
not pumpkin picking. And you could save
Is
yourself
it?
$50.
You could
I
pick
mean, come on.
out a
So the
pumpkin.
question
Maybe that's it.
is apple picking the same thing? Do they go and get like a bag of Granny Smiths at the Acme and they tape them on? Is that what they do? This is just phony bull crap. No, this is all phony. I'm tired of being scammed. My gosh. There is a farm around the block from me. It is so pretty.
Yes.
I guess they've
Hmm.
given up on it. They just mow the lawn. It is this huge chunk of land. Plant something for Christ's sake. Plant some seeds. I want to like go there and take some tomato seeds. But they then scatter boy, am I a ranter today? They then scatter the pumpkins all over the place like they're real. Good Lord. All right. By the way, Mike and I are going to have a punctuation contest. Today is National Punctuation Day. So, an hour from now, you have to tune in and watch us try to guess different punctuation. Can't wait. All right, Mike,
It'll
we'll
be
check back.
exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yes, something different for the show. 724 right now. 67 degrees. We have a crash right now to report. It's on the Jersey Turnpike, I 80, northbound south of I 80 Express and local lanes in Ridgefield Park with the left shoulder blocked. We want to show you some fog. Take a look at this. That is by the Molly Pitcher service area off the Turnpike. But look at the dense fog that we have there. And, Mike's been talking about the clash of air masses. I know that fog from my years of watching my morning meteorologist, Prince's They always say fog is an indication of stability in the atmosphere. I've heard that a million times. So there is some stability in the atmosphere for you. That's the Molly Pitcher Service area loaded in fog. So just be aware of that as you're traveling around today. We have a crash on the Turnpike northbound south of Interchange 6 down by the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And the right shoulder's blocked there in a crash investigation. Route 30 westbound by Baird Boulevard in Camden. 3 of the 4 lanes are closed. Your upper and lower level approaches to the GWB right now. The lower level is actually moving better than it was right now. That's on the left side. There had been a disabled vehicle. It looks like that might have been taken care of. The upper level's empty. My gosh. Take advantage of it. Go over now. I think a lot of people are avoiding Manhattan this week, and wisely so, because we have a gridlock alert week as the UN General Assembly's in session. Try to avoid driving into Manhattan altogether. Oh, we have a bird. Look at this on the left side. A bird saying, "Good morning, everybody." Looking for a worm. It's not a good place for it. Work from home if you can, at least for the next few days, certainly until Friday. Next week might lighten a little bit, but you still have the possibility of closures, especially on the Upper East Side. 726 New Jersey PBS will shut down next July after the network's parent company could not reach a deal with the state and funding cuts to public media. Now, before everybody clutches their pearls and cries, please hear me out. New Jersey PBS will cease operations as of next July after WNET, the parent company that manages all of the stations, was unable to reach an agreement with the New Jersey Public Broadcasting Authority, which is a quasi-governmental agency, to continue operating the network because they're not getting as much funding now from the federal government, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, because there are a bunch of left-wing hacks that have been financing PBS spewing liberal crap for about 50 years on your dime and mine. When all the commercial TV stations have to go out and get advertising, these people were taking government money. They had to bypass the money through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting because you're not allowed to have the government directly own broadcast entities. So the Corporation for Public Broadcasting probably taken some cuts in between there. I don't know that. I'm just spewing out some nasty rumors. And then that money got distributed to PBS stations where they had a lot of bloated budgets there and a lot of bloated salaries. In fact, do you know that, to give you an idea, WNET, Channel 13, you know that they make $140 million a year? That's more money than most of the commercial TV stations make, and they're a PBS station. They're the biggest PBS station, but they're a frickin' PBS station, 140 million. I know TV station general managers who are salivating. They would die for this station. You gave us 1/100th of that, and we could make magic happen. And they have 140 million. So give me a break. Stop clutching pearls. So what does this mean for the average New Jersey resident? Absolutely freaking nothing. Nothing. Let me tell you what this means to have PBS shutting down. It's not that. Channel 13 in New York, Channel 12 in Philadelphia, they cover the northern half and southern half of New Jersey perfectly. They always have. And guess what? They will continue to do so. The stations impacted by this cut are the 7 really shitty stations that nobody has ever seen. I promise you. In fact, I will give $1,000 if you could call me up and you could, without Googling it. No, I won't give you $1,000, but I will if you call and you could tell me the 7 stations this is impacting. Ding, ding. Time's up. Too late. Can't call now. They're UHF stations in like Trenton and whatnot, UHF channels that you have never watched. If you go up and down your cable channels, you'll find them on like channel 262. And they broadcast the exact same programming that channel 13 and channel 12 broadcast. So why do you need them? You needed them 50 years ago when we didn't have cable, we didn't have satellite, we didn't have internet, and you needed to cover the outreaches, the outlying areas of New Jersey. So you had all these low power and regional UHF stations to fill in the gaps. Okay? Guess what? That's a long time ago. It's a long time ago. So the only thing is you got 4 full power and 3 low power UHF TV stations that are a waste. It's a duplicitous waste. Let me ask you this. How many CBS affiliates do we have in the state of New Jersey? None. None. There is not a CBS TV station in the state of New Jersey, yet you've lived just fine, right? There's a CBS station in New York. There's a CBS station in Philadelphia. How many ABC stations are there in the state of New Jersey? Go ahead, I'll wait. None. There's an ABC in New York and an ABC in Philly, and you watch one of those, depending on where you are. Yet we have seven PBS stations in the state, an eighth in New York and a ninth in Philadelphia, and they all transmit the same shit. They all do. They do a local New Jersey nightly thing that I guarantee you have never watched. I couldn't tell you who's on it. I've never watched it. And you have other commercial stations that do the same thing. And you have New York and Philly doing the same thing. So why are we, out of our tax dollars, financing these seven stations? Take the frequencies, sell them, take the money, pay for some of the debt we have in New Jersey. You don't need seven additional UHF frequencies to retransmit seven PBS stations when you have an eighth in New York and a ninth in Philly that cover New Jersey just fine. I'm just saying. It's a waste of your money. And all, like Senator Booker being the ass that he is, he goes online saying, oh, and Senator Kim is another phony. Silencing our voices, silencing liberal voices, maybe. That's about it. Nobody else will be impacted. Ernie and Bert and Elmo are all owned corporations that are licensed now to like commercial TV. So stop giving me this crap. Oh, now we're going to lose Sesame Street for my poor family, my poor child. No, put on channel 13, put on channel 12, depending on where you are in the state. You are not going to lose anything. You see all your freaking cooking shows from Jacques Pepin and stuff from 1962 with the French chef and all of that. All that stuff is still going to be on. Only you're going to be watching it from 13 and 12, and not these UHFs that you have never watched anyway. 7:31, a new emergency warning system is being installed in flood-prone Plainfield after a number of storms turned deadly and caused a number of issues with property damage. The idea of to alert residents of weather-related threats, giving them more time to go to safety. This is good. Plainfield will spend $500,000 to install 7 weather alarms in various locations. So when there is severe weather approaching, you'll probably get alarms on your phone too, which you should heed. Don't shut off those alarms. A lot of people shut them off, disable them. Don't do that. You need to know if you're in a flood-prone area like Plainfield, North Plainfield, don't blame the government if you shut off your alarm on your phone. If you're in a flood-prone area, keep the alarm on because you need to know you're not going to drown. You had 4 people die in 2 weeks in Plainfield, North Plainfield over the summer. That's just unnecessary. And President Trump sent a message to transnational drug dealers while addressing the UN yesterday. You get in a boat and head toward the U.S. with drugs, you're going to be blown out of the water. He told world leaders that the U.S. officially designated these drug dealers as terrorist organizations. Since Trump started sinking these so-called fast boats at sea, the numbers leaving countries like Venezuela for the U.S. have drastically reduced. Pam, we will forego the sod, by the way. At least 300,000 Americans died from fentanyl overdoses in the U.S. last year alone. Very significant. 7:32 right now. When we come back, working remotely, not anymore. Why Gen Z employees say they want to be back in the office. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning. It is 67 degrees and very sticky now, 7:33, Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Clouds this morning, showers on and off this afternoon, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Mike, and now that we may not have New Jersey PBS, if you want, I'll call up Nino and I'll sing, I love you, you love me. Will that make him feel better? I'm sorry.
Well,
Just
now
being
that's
me. I know.
available free on those free TV streaming apps. So
You see my
yeah.
face. You see
Hmm.
that. Listen, we don't get $1 million of government funding. You have channel 13 in New York, channel 12 in Philadelphia, and then even on Long Island, you have channel 21. You have those signals covering the tri-state just fine, giving us all the PBS programming we want. You have 50 channels if you do subscribe to cable of Nickelodeon and Schmickelodeon and every other kids channel. So, and then you stream. You have something called the internet on your phone. You have YouTube. Stop with this. Oh, my child will be deprived. I'm sorry. Now I'm back on the rant. I'll go take a Xanax. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry, sir.
It's okay. Even still, you put the TV on, he looks at it for 5 seconds and goes back to playing. So, or it's right. It's about try to promote the healthy screen thing, but well,
Exactly.
that's a different story. Hey, we've got a big screen behind us full of not much weather right now, but later today, this radar screen will be lit up with some thunderstorms that'll be arriving through New Jersey. Currently, we're quiet, but as we head into this afternoon, you see the radar loop here showing a few of those areas of fog just west of the Delaware. A lot of that thunderstorm activity gets going just in time for this evening rush. So later today from Atlantic City and Ocean City, you see temperatures climb into the upper 70s, low 80s, where we get a break of sun. But again, it'll be kind of hazy sunshine today, making for some milder weather. We're almost at equal days and equal nights here. Sunset, 6:50, sunrise, 6:46 this morning. And then with the average temperature climbing to 75, there are places that could near 90 degrees today if we get more sun. So that will feel very warm, especially as we head into this afternoon. Tropics. So there's two areas we're keeping an eye on. One, this little blob of orange right there. And two is actually just over this swirl you see north of the Bahamas, north and east of the Bahamas, that may work its way slowly up the east coast and form into something over the next several days. It's one to watch. As far as Hurricane Gabrielle, still a Category 3 storm working its way eastward, losing its intensity as it moves out over open water. So our forecast for New Jersey keeps the clouds around today, breaks of sun, and then some thunderstorms later on tonight. It's going to be a warm finish to the day. We get another round of storms tomorrow evening, and then wrapping up Friday with some clear sky that will help to dry us out. But it's this system that's stuck over us in the front that allows every rainstorm, one after the next, to move over New Jersey. Again, it's really beneficial rains. It's rain that we could use given how dry it's been, so helping to put an end to what is a pretty long drought. And then with our next weather system arriving for the weekend, I think Saturday sees a few clouds, but Sunday ultimately clears out and looks beautiful going into Sunday afternoon. Then, after a warm and humid finish to the week with those rain chances each and every day, by Monday and Tuesday, we'll wait and see what happens offshore with that next system that may work up the coast. But again, I think it's okay for the weekend. We're doing just fine and we're dry. Shore points, a little bit more humid, temperatures running warmer than average into the upper 70s, and then cooling off with drier weather by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday looking okay, dependent on that tropical system. So again, a little asterisk there for early next week, because we'll see what happens with that storm offshore. But otherwise, feel more like summer rather than fall, Ken.
All right, you say that like it's a bad thing. I mean, I'll take you. You know my thing.
Yeah.
I'll take 75, 80 degrees and sticky until like February, March, and then we'll have like a month of spring, and then we'll go back to
Yep.
75, 80 degrees and sticky. I
It
mean, I
is.
don't see a problem with that. All right, Mike. Thank you very much. Pam, our director, is going to yell at me, but that's okay. She's giving me an ugh. All right, Mike, 67 degrees right now in terms of traffic. Let's go to Route 30. We have a crash investigation right now. Route 30, westbound by Baird Boulevard in Camden. So we got 3 lanes closed. That's what you're down to right now on Route 30 as you go down in the Camden area. That's all due to an investigation of a crash. So that's going to cost you a lot of time this morning. We also have delays on Route 23 southbound south of Alexander Avenue in Pequannock Township to north of Packanack Lake Road in Wayne. All lanes are open, but things are very heavy there. Now, go over to I-80, if you will. There are delays now west of 62 Garden State Parkway and Elmwood Park to exit 57 Route 19. Again, this is I-80, Pam, by Route 20. You'll see NJ 20, and that's where it's delayed to. So I-80 at NJ 20. Thank you very much. So this is a 2 mile stretch. So we're looking at it at the camera from 20. So from 20 to Route 19 exit, which is about 2 miles, that's what you got right there. Just a mess of traffic. And then we have a crash that just popped up on the New Jersey Turnpike Inner Roadway southbound north of Interchange 12, Carteret, Rahway, and Linden, left shoulder blocked. Your approaches to the Hudson River right now, we have a mess. and the Lincoln Tunnel approach, apparently 35 minutes to get over in the Lincoln, 25 of the Holland. That's better. Upper and lower levels of the GWB, not awful. But we do have some building traffic a little bit that's on the lower level on the left. As you just pass that camera point, you get within the 2-mile point of the GWB. It starts to build a little, but it's only going to cost you 20 to 25 in. And it is a gridlock alert week in Manhattan as the UN General Assembly remains in session. Well, when you think of remote work, you probably picture younger workers loving the flexibility, right? Well, that isn't really the case anymore. In fact, there are more Gen Z employees now saying they actually want to be back in the office, at least part-time. That's where Dr. Tim Currie comes in. He's a leadership expert and the author of Swift Trust. He's here to explain what's changing the remote work landscape and what leaders need to do now. Good morning to you, Dr. Currie. Good to have you on.
Hi, Ken. Great to be here.
Well, so why are younger workers wanting to head back into the office? All we heard for the longest time was, oh, they like to work remotely. They're not social. They're from the generation that doesn't like to interact, but now they want to be in.
Yeah, they do, in increasing numbers. While just like all of us, they may enjoy autonomy and flexibility that remote work might provide. But younger workers, entry-level Gen Z workers are finding, 6 to 8 hours on Zoom with your camera off surprisingly unfulfilling. They want to looking for more out of their life, and they're not unaware that most of the world used to operate a little bit differently with a lot of human interaction and this thing we used to call the office, and so they're strangely attracted to it now.
But a lot of that also have to do with the younger ones who dealt with college at home during COVID,
Yeah.
and so they're just done with it, and they just want to have some kind of social interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about this younger age group, they might have even had maybe the last year of their high school remote, or certainly a portion of their college remote, and probably feel like they've come out a little on the short end of the bargain on all these great times and interactions and building lifelong relationships that they were supposed to be doing, and had to be sitting in a room, and now they find themselves again in a room or in their own home office, or wherever, in the coffee shop, let's say, but they're sitting there kind of stacked up on sort of very, very on task, very, just the facts kind of existence with their workplace. And they're looking for more, but more like, probably you and I got when we were in our 20s, or entering the workforce.
Sure. And those were some great times. I met great friends during that time, and you learn so much. There's something about face-to-face interaction and even people whispering in your ear saying things like, you know what, the boss doesn't like when you do that. I mean, I know that sounds like silly little thing, but you learn from that. There is something to be said about face-to-face interaction with other people. And then you also learn to be a little bit more tolerant because we're all different. We all have our different little quirks. And when you only deal with yourself in a closed environment like home, then all of a sudden you are exposed to other people. You don't necessarily have that socialization skill. So it's so important to be with other people. So talk about the Swift trust phenomenon.
Yeah, so Swift Trust describes a very transactional, very shallow, level of trust. If we think about it from the workplace perspective, you trust me to do what you tell me, and I trust you to pay me if I do it, right? And what younger workers are kind of falling into this trap of a very transactional kind of existence in their workplace. For one thing, that's easily replaced on both ends, right? If that's the kind of work and work experience that you have. And what I talk about in my book and what my research was founded on is how to move past that, right? In it, either in a complete remote work environment, or in some of the return to office kind of hybrid environments that are emerging right now. But Ken, you talk about a couple really important things. One is observational learning. We learn a lot by observing how our peers and our leadership interact. We learn about social norms. We learn about the culture and the accepted norms of a given organization, and that's what builds organizational trust. And organizational trust is the fiber of an organization that lets them move past difficult times and allows them to innovate, allows them to pivot, allows them to evolve. And without all of that, that kind of weakens the fiber of the organization. There's Microsoft also did a really good study on people's direct versus indirect relationships when they went remote. And they found that, people used to have very broad, the number of people you would interact with was very broad. It got shrunk down to just your chain of command and just on task sort of work. And that typically was a sign of, that over time, that typically is a sign that you're not going to get very far or, succeed very well within your organization. It's certainly not a very fulfilling way to work either. So that's what Gen Z's
That
response.
is That's fascinating. I love the fact that they studied that, and it makes so much sense. And do you think then the answer is hybrid work, even if it's just a day a week, being able to have a flexible work from home day? It doesn't have to be every Friday. It could be maybe Wednesday. Maybe next week I'll work every 5 days in the office or whatever. Just some kind of a hybrid schedule.
Yeah, I think to be clear, I want to be fair. There are some companies absolutely thriving working remotely, but they tend to be smaller organizations where the leadership team knew each other from the before times, have a lot of trust, they can finish each other's sentences, and they can impart that on the rest of the culture in the organization. Larger organizations are struggling much more with this. And I think to your point, the answer is some form of hybrid. Although that has to be well thought out too. You don't want people, taking an hour and a half train ride to go
Mhm.
come to the office and Zoom with someone who's sitting in their pajamas at home, right? So that's the worst of both worlds. But like one of the executives at Google said, you can't schedule innovation for 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. You have to create the environment where those things happen organically, and they're not getting it from the remote workforce. So I think to your point, Ken, the answer is some sort of balanced, thoughtful hybrid workplace.
And it'll look different with each company. I mean, we're
Oh yeah,
hybrid. My company is hybrid. So I'm in northern New Jersey. Our director is in also north central New Jersey. I mean, we're all in different places, but we're a
yeah,
small company. And
right.
there is a central meeting point. We do have an actual office, but it is nice to be able to have that option, certainly. What is a website, Dr. Currie, for people to get more information and get the book?
Yeah, you can find the book at swifttrustbook.com. You can also find it on Amazon, and I hope people take a look at it. I think it's very timely, and I think that we're still kind of figuring out what the new operating system is going to be for this world as we kind of settle into some pattern of whether it be hybrid or remote or some combination.
Or yeah, right. A little different for everybody. We'll see
Yeah,
what works for one company may not work for another. But that's fascinating. Leadership expert, the author of Swift Trust, Dr. Tim Currie. Thanks so much for coming on today. This is fascinating information.
absolutely. Thanks for having me, Ken.
You bet. Thank you. 747. Pam, let's forego if we could. Let's forego. 747 now. It is 67 degrees. And and we're going to talk, in fact, in a little bit about it's actually a really, really heart um, heart-wrenching and at the same time touching topic, ending pediatric cancer. I know so many people in the broadcast industry, and this is one of the charities that when we're asked to take part in, there's never a person who says no. Because when it comes to children and cancer, I don't know how anyone can't volunteer to help find a solution. We're going to tell you how Hackensack Meridian Health is helping to lead the fight against pediatric cancer. So at 7:48, we go over to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He's going to tell us about the Garden State forecast, and it's a sticky one today.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, it does feel very warm. It stays kind of muggy this afternoon. Not feeling like fall should, but that fall weather that you know and love is on the way. It comes by the time we get to the end of the weekend. So a few more days of this kind of sticky feel with temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s today. If we tap into some sun, warms up even more into the mid 80s. The drought that's ongoing across most of the northern part of the state does get better because there's quite a bit of rain, not just today, but also tomorrow. And with that, I think we'll see a big improvement to the rainfall deficit, which still is running about 1 to 2 inches for most of the northern half of the state, anywhere from a half inch to an inch down the shore. Lots of wet weather on the way in the next few days, so that's good. Then we turn our attention down to the tropics. So you see this swirl here working its way westward, as well as another kind of undefined area of circulation, but these two systems will be one to watch over the next few days, both shaded in red, so they have a high chance of becoming our next named system, at least by the end of this week. With all the warmth forecast for the middle of October, New Jersey taps into that as well, so it'll be a little bit milder than usual through the end of the month into early October, but at least equal chances of rainfall through the end of September. Next few days sees quite a bit of rain with on and off showers throughout today and tomorrow. Best chance of seeing those downpours is tomorrow. And then Friday looks relatively dry with improvements in the clear sky for Saturday and Sunday. It's still very warm and muggy on Friday. Saturday, better, but I think the real dry weather takes over on Sunday with plenty of clear air and nice weather to boot. Monday and Tuesday sees a little bit more of the dry trend going into the end of next week. But I think with the shore points also looking a little bit more muggier than usual, tap into some of that rain each and every day. Saturday clears out, Sunday looks drier. Monday and Tuesday next week, watching that system offshore, see if it turns into anything notable, as it could be another tropical named system just off our shoreline. So that's one to watch. But otherwise, feeling a little more like summer rather than fall over the next few days, and then we get to the dry weather by Sunday, Ken.
And Mike, I saw one model showing one of those hurricanes going to Portugal. Does that happen? I didn't realize that Europe gets hurricanes.
Yes, so that is becoming more and more common when these Atlantic storms lose their tropical characteristics, but they start to gain their energy instead of the warm ocean. They gain their energy from the atmosphere. So it's almost like how we get a nor'easter in the wintertime. Still big winds, big rains, but yes, especially out toward the Azores and Portugal and mainland Europe, they could tap into the same system. Just it's not tropical, but it's gusty, windy, rainy, like a big storm.
Wow. And they could, would it be damaging, or is it, I mean, like, I guess like our nor'easters,
Absolutely.
as you said.
Yep, there was a big one
Fascinating.
maybe a few years ago in Ireland, had like
I
140 mile
remember
per
that.
hour wind gusts. Yeah,
I do
same
remember that.
situation.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Hmm.
All right. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen more and more often. That's something else. I'm sure you think you escape all that. They make fun of us
Yeah,
having to deal with it, and then they're like, "Oh, look what's coming." All right,
right.
my friend. We'll check back with you. Thank you, Mike. It is 67 degrees right now at 7:51. We have, and it's a gridlock alert week in Manhattan. The UN General Assembly's in session, so avoid driving in if you can altogether. In the meantime, we want to take a look at Route 30 westbound at Baird Boulevard in Camden. Look at that one lane of traffic. We have 3 lanes blocked, and that is due to a crash investigation. It was moving a little more slowly before. I think people are trying to avoid it right now, and that's why you have that. But nonetheless, that's what you're down to on Route 30. We are told that there is a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike inner roadway southbound. And that is just north of Interchange 12, which is Carteret, Rahway, and Linden. Again, the New Jersey Turnpike inner roadway southbound north of Interchange 12. In fact, you could see the traffic buildup, Pam, if you go to mile marker 100.0 north of Interchange 13 on the Turnpike. 100.0 north of Interchange 13, you'll be able to see that. And that is there you go. So that's about a mile before the crash site. And you can see it's a little bit heavy as it drives in. So as they round that bend, that's where they're going to hit the crash site. And you can expect some delays there. Delays on the Garden State, also northbound south of exit 89A, Route 70 in Lakewood to exit 90. So that's about a 2-mile delay right now, all due to volume. Your Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln Tunnel is about 25 minutes, Holland 20. GWB upper and lower levels right now are actually moving pretty well. I think people are heeding the advice because of the gridlock alert week in Manhattan to just take mass transit or work from home this week if you can. 7:53, and this month marks the 10th anniversary of Tackle Kids Cancer. It's a major effort by Hackensack Meridian Health to fight pediatric cancer. Over the past decade, it has raised more than $26 million to fund life-saving research and to support families right here in New Jersey and beyond. One of the experts leading that fight is Dr. Derek Hanson. He's the director of pediatric neuro-oncology at Hackensack Meridian's Children's Cancer Institute. His work focuses on a rare and aggressive type of brain tumor found mostly in kids under the age of 4. And his early research is already showing signs of hope. Good morning, Dr. Hanson.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell us about Tackle Kids Cancer.
Tackle Kids Cancer is an effort by Hackensack Meridian Health that's celebrating its 10th anniversary. It's focused on raising funds to support our pediatric cancer program here at the hospital, both up here at Hackensack as well as at Jersey Shore University Medical Center. The real focus is to raise funds to advance pediatric cancer research. Really, the only way that we're able to make advances in these rare and deadly diseases is by raising funds through philanthropy. There's money available through the government, through the National Cancer Institute, but unfortunately only just a little sliver of that budget is allocated for pediatric cancer. So it really falls on us as a community to raise those funds for our kids to make sure that they're able to receive the life-saving treatment for their diseases.
And as I've been told by many people who do scientific research and try to raise funds, it's the organizations that raise funds for the diseases that impact more people that get more funds. Am I wrong or right on that?
That's correct. And pediatric cancer really is, even though it's a rare group of diseases, it has such an impact. You think about a child, 2, 3 years old, the amount of years of life lost when you have a child that loses their life to cancer is just tremendous compared to adults. And so there's just such a huge impact, not only obviously for that child and family, but just the entire community. It's a disease that really impacts us all. And so it's so important to raise funds for pediatric cancer.
And you're talking about kids who didn't do anything. I mean, not that anyone ever does something to intentionally get cancer, but these are innocent children who didn't smoke, they didn't drink, they didn't do something damaging to themselves. They are innocent. And that's why it's so, I think, so much more sickening. And we have that natural desire as humans to take care of the younger generation to make sure that they're okay. Now, your research focuses on that rare brain tumor we mentioned briefly. It's called ETMR. What is ETMR and why is this so serious?
So ETMR is a very rare and very deadly form of brain tumor. It typically affects very young children, and it really wasn't very well understood until a few years ago. And so we had a young child here diagnosed at Hackensack with ETMR, and that really sparked a huge research effort to learn more about this tumor and find a cure and develop a better way to treat this tumor. And that's really sparked a huge movement across the pediatric oncology landscape. We now have a research lab here at Hackensack devoted to researching ETMR, finding better cures for this rare tumor. And it's spurred a national and international effort where we're now partnering with hospitals across the globe to bring a clinical trial for ETMR. We're really seeing some positive results. We're seeing kids' lives being saved. And it's really all due to being able to do this research and the funding that was made available to us through Tackle Kids Cancer. And that's why it's so important to support efforts like this, because the only way that we achieve these cures is if we can perform the research. And the only way that we can perform the research is if we have that funding and support to get behind it and help us achieve those cures.
So do we see that cancers in younger children, et cetera, because they have a faster metabolism, does it tend to spread more quickly in young children?
So most pediatric cancers do tend to be a little bit more on the aggressive side. And so obviously we're dealing with very serious life-threatening conditions. On the flip side, because these tumors are so aggressive and growing so quickly, if we get them the right treatment, they can also die very quickly. And so that's why we do have, thankfully, such good cure rates in pediatric cancers, where in some forms of cancer like leukemia, the cure rates are in the high 90% range. So that's fantastic. We made a lot of progress, but the way we made that progress is by having the research available to learn about these diseases, develop new treatments, and bring those treatments to patients. And so we've been able to achieve a tremendous amount due to research, but there's still a long way to go. There's many other types of pediatric cancers where the cure rate is unfortunately not so high, ETMR and other brain tumors being one of them. But we're really dedicated here at the hospital and with Tackle Kids Cancer to keep pushing research forward so we can find those cures.
So over the 10-year period, I mean, you've seen a lot, obviously, in terms of how that research has advanced the treatment. So talk about the advances that you've seen in that 10-year period.
Sure. We've seen a tremendous amount of progress over these past 10 years. It's really been amazing and honestly very fulfilling to be a part of that. We've made tremendous progress in brain tumors, which are one of the deadliest forms of pediatric cancer. We've seen new treatments come to light through the trials we've been able to offer here at Hackensack in a number of different brain tumors. We have a patient here that was treated. He was a high schooler with a glioblastoma, which is one of the deadliest forms of pediatric cancer. It has a cure rate of about 5 to 10%. We were able to get him through treatment. He's now in college, thriving, doing well. That's just one of many success stories. I could sit here all morning and tell you about all the kids who have had tremendous results with the therapy we've been able to deliver.
Glioblastoma. There are so many very well-known people, adults as well, who've died of glioblastoma. When you hear that diagnosis, you just cringe. It's like there are certain cancers that you cringe at, pancreatic cancer, et cetera. When you hear that diagnosis, you just know that the survival rate is just so low. But the fact that you're working so hard on the advancement says so much. And we know that Eli Manning has been a big part of Tackle Kids Cancer. How has his involvement helped?
Eli has been our champion through this entire decade, throughout this entire 10-year period. He was right with us at the start when we launched Tackle Kids Cancer, and he's really been, again, our champion, our spokesperson that's been out there raising awareness, doing commercials, sponsoring events, and even more touching, he comes regularly to the Children's Hospital to meet with our kids, sit with them, have a chat, and just bring a smile to their face, which is just incredibly important when you think about these kids who are unfortunately stuck in the hospital sometimes for days, even weeks on end. Being able to have Eli come and just sit with them, spend a few moments, give them a visit, give them that personalized attention means so much. So you can really see that this is a cause that's near and dear to Eli's heart, and he just throws his full effort into this. And so we're incredibly grateful to him. He's made a tremendous impact on the program, has helped us raise so much money for this important cause. We're just really thankful to have him as our champion.
Dr. Hanson, what's the website for more information or to make a donation?
So you can go to tacklekidscancer.org to visit our website. You can make a donation on that website to help support the cause. You can even set up your own fundraiser so that you and your community can help raise dollars. So certainly encourage you to get to that website, check it out, learn more about what we're doing, and help us raise funds for this important cause.
It is called Tackle Kids Cancer. Dr. Derek Hanson, Director of Pediatric Neuro-Oncology at Hackensack Meridian's Children's Cancer Institute. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. It is 68 degrees now. It's 8:01. When we come back, Caldwell comes together with its annual street fair. We'll take your calls too at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Back in 30. Good morning, 8:01 right now, Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato taking calls at 888-658-0234. Clouds this morning, showers on and off this afternoon, highs upper 70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta, the check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Ken, I just took a step outside. It is muggier now than it has been most of the month of August. It's ridiculous. Very soupy, very humid, and it's going to feel like summer today, especially when you hear the thunderstorms roll through parts of New Jersey later today. So there's definitely a summery wind, if you will, in the air, stealing the line from Sinatra. Bringing back the warmth today. It's a Jersey guy, it's a Jersey thing, keeping all the warmth around through this afternoon. We're actually running about 5 to 7 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and yes, it's still more humid as well, with the dew points in the upper 60s and approaching the low 70s by tomorrow. So it gets hotter and it gets more humid. With that sunshine this morning mixing with some clouds, that helps to bring back the threat of some thunderstorms later today. Also, the warm wind from the south and west fueling some of those storms by the end of the day. So the futurecast shows it nicely, especially with these showers lining up for this afternoon, probably getting going as early as 2-3 o'clock in northern New Jersey, but really throughout later on this evening into the overnight, that's our best chance of seeing some of that wet weather, with some downpours in through 2-3 in the morning and even spilling over into tomorrow morning's forecast. You see exiting Long Branch in places up in northeastern Bergen County by tomorrow morning. There's a good dose of rain on the way for tomorrow, with these storms even through tomorrow evening. So while there's a threat of storms today, the best chance of rain all week is tomorrow. And then we start to clear it out by Friday. And with the sun breaking through the clouds, again, still humid, temperatures climb into the mid 80s, which is way above average, about 15 degrees warmer than we should be. Friday into Saturday starts to see some clearing, and while it's not completely sunny, there's still a fair amount of sunshine with some high thin clouds, and that'll keep the temperatures from warming too quickly into the mid 80s. I think it'll also bring back a drier feel as well as the front settles in going into the second half of the weekend, and that will dry the air out and finally make it feel like autumn should. Because the thunderstorms, the warmth, the humidity through Friday, sticky, and then drying out just in time for the weekend. We'll tell you more about it coming up in just a few minutes.
By the way, it's a gridlock alert week in Manhattan. The UN General Assembly is in session. Try to avoid driving into Manhattan altogether. Take mass transit or work from home if you can, but at least avoid the Upper East Side. I know Mike will avoid it as much as possible. It is ugly driving in. We do have a disabled bus on the Bayonne Bridge northbound midspan in Staten Island, but I know a lot of folks from New Jersey commute in that way. Right lane is blocked. We have a crash on the Turnpike southbound north of Interchange 3. So it's down south a bit. That's Route 168 in Belmar. Two right lanes blocked. Crash on 295 southbound at exit 34, Route 70, Cherry Hill. Two left lanes closed. By the way, as you get south and toward Jersey, there's more fog and more rain. So that's where we're seeing the accidents focused right now as you go down the turnpike toward Jersey and more down the shore. Down the shore is more fog. Down toward Philadelphia, you're getting more accidents. We have a crash on the turnpike, inner roadway southbound north of interchange 12. That's the Linden area, left shoulder blocked, and a crash investigation, Route 30 westbound, Baird Boulevard in Camden, three right lanes closed. The approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln and Holland, are both 25. It's not so bad. The GWB upper and lower levels also been much lighter than usual. Again, a lot of people heeding the warning because we have a gridlock alert week in Manhattan, and it's only going to cost you 20 minutes across the GWB. 8:05, and we are joined this morning now by Erin Gloor, who is the chairwoman of the Caldwell Street Fair. Every year, the fair brings thousands of people to the heart of Caldwell for a day full of food, vendors, music, and family fun. It's a great way to support local businesses and connect with neighbors, and this year promises to be bigger and better than ever. Good morning and welcome, Erin.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, I lived in North Caldwell for 13 years. So I used to go down to, and people who don't realize, they just call everything Caldwell. There's Caldwell, North Caldwell, West Caldwell. They're all very distinct. Caldwell proper has more of the history, and you have the great Victorian houses there. It's a wonderful community. And the street fair, if you go down from where the street fair is, you go down the road, that takes you into West Caldwell, right? That's where you're going to have your street
Exactly.
fair. Because I see
Yep.
the signs. First week in October every year, right? I'm not lying when I tell you that.
Exactly.
So tell us about the history of the street fair and the new vendors and performances you have, because it's a fun fair.
It really is. We're very fortunate to have put this on for 33 years, which is really incredible. And we give back all of the money. We're all volunteers that put this together. This year we have over 300 vendors that are coming, spanning anywhere from food, arts and crafts, and new merchandise. Our biggest attraction this year is increased rides and inflatables for the families, which we're so excited about. So it's definitely a lot of fun, not just for the adults who can indulge in great music and the beer garden, which is at the Cloverleaf, but also for the kids. There's so much entertainment for them to enjoy themselves and have some wholesome family fun, which is super exciting.
That's awesome. And I mean, that for those who don't realize, like Bloomfield Ave, you go up, you got St. Al's at one end, you got Forte's right there. I mean, I know that area like the back of my hand. I lived there so long, and it's just a fabulous area. And Caldwell proper, uh, I always love to say, I call it the mini Montclair, because Bloomfield Ave and Caldwell, doesn't it feel sort of like a more manageable version of the Bloomfield Ave and Montclair? Because you have the great restaurants, but it's not overwhelming. You can find a place to park if you look. I just love that area. And the fact that you're having all those organizations come together and get everybody out, that's what's great about a street fair. Neighbors who usually go to work and come home and never talk to their neighbors, this gives you an opportunity to come out and meet people and see who lives next door. So do you see more and more people coming out each year and having fun who live in the neighborhood?
Yes, so I've been doing this for the past 3 years. This is my fourth year doing it. Each year, we've had an increased number of patrons that come, upward last year of about 34,000 people. So it's really exciting to feel the energy amongst everyone. And people come out in droves. So it's great to see the local families come together. But also, it's great to see some of the people that don't know the Caldwells well come and experience the energy that is on Bloomfield Avenue, which is super exciting and electric. Nowadays, with everyone's on their phones and on social media, so it's amazing to be able to communicate and face to face, enjoy some great music, and have just some wholesome fun.
Yeah, and you're helping out a lot of local organizations too financially. Tell us about that.
Yep. So I'm involved with the Rotary Club, and we reinvest all of our money not only on a local level, but our philanthropy globally as well. We partner with Kiwanis, and their focus is primarily with the kid organizations. It's fantastic to see the funds that are raised 100% get reinvested into local schools, different projects to be able to help the first aid squad, the fire department, and also the police departments. So it's a beautiful event where you're giving back by having some fun, which is great.
Yeah, now, so when you 300 different groups taking part, I mean, I just got a little twinge in my brain thinking about how hard that is. What kind of planning goes into an event of this size? When do you begin?
Ken, it's incredible. We wrap up our street fair the first at the end of the night at 7 p.m. We take 1 week off, have a debrief meeting, allow everyone to enjoy the holidays, and then pick it right back up in January.
So, so you really don't get much of a breath. You have a little holiday and you start working again. That's great. But
Exactly.
I think the street fair itself is its own best advertisement because I've been there and it's packed. I remember I went on a Sunday. It's jammed, and people come out and they just have a nice time. And there's great food. I mean, the food there is awesome. So that's its own best advertisement for next year. So I'm sure when organizations see everyone taking part, it's like seeing the line outside the nightclub. When you see the line outside the nightclub, now you got to be part of it, right? You want to get into it. So I'm sure that brings more and more vendors for the next year. Why are events like this so important for towns like Caldwell?
I think that the number one reason why an event like this is so important is because it really helps to energize the community. It allows people to come together for a greater good. In today's day and age, I feel like it's super important to have that be the center of the street fair. For example, this year, without it, a lot of the organizations in town projects aren't able to get the funding that they need. But more than that, the greater excitement about having all of the families together and the kids and enjoying the time together is huge.
Yeah. And so it's the first week in October, right? What is the specific start day?
So it's October 5th between 12 and 5.
12 and 5. Okay. So it's not blasting music all night long for the folks who need to get to work, right? I'm sure that the folks who live along Bloomfield like, I got to get up at 5 a.m. You're making all this noise for God's sake. That's my best Bloomfield. I know nobody in Caldwell talks like that. I'm just making it up for the folks in New York who think we all talk like that.
Yes.
This is exciting, yes, right? Caldwell is a great community. And for those who don't know the Caldwells, the beautiful part about Caldwell, West Caldwell, North Caldwell, they are all very distinct and different. Even like Fairfield is the unofficial Caldwell. We'll throw them in it, and of course Essex Fells doesn't want to be anything but Essex Fells, but that's another story. Um, we could talk Essex Fells all day long. But they're all part of that. Even let's toss in a Roseland for good measure. That is all right. That's kind of the hub of the communities there, and they are all very distinct and offer their own flavor. And for anyone who's ever been thinking about coming there, that's Essex County. So you have the taxes are not through the roof. You got great transportation. Here, let's do the sales pitch for the Caldwells. Right? It's easy to get into Manhattan from there because I did it for 12, 13 years. Very easy to get into Manhattan. And it's just a great suburban community with tons of restaurants and tons of shopping. And what you have right there in the Caldwell Street Fair is the perfect advertisement. Come, have fun, eat, have the family fun with the attractions there for the kids. And at the same time, talk to the people who live there, and you will come to the Caldwells, I'm sure. What's a website for more information, Erin?
CaldwellStreetFair.com has all of the information. It also includes all of the vendors and sponsors that without them, we truly wouldn't be able to put on this show. So we look forward to welcoming you in our small community. It will definitely prove to be an exciting, exciting afternoon. And Mike's job is to ensure me that I have great weather next Sunday.
If Mike says so, you will, I promise you. And by the way, my favorite sushi place is Ocha, right there on Bloomfield. That's like, are you an Ocha fan? Because I'm a mega Ocha fan.
Huge OJA fan. They have an account for me and they know me when I call right away. So that's the kind of community that we have here. Everyone knows everyone and it's exciting to be a part of it.
When it's funny, I usually order to be delivered. Even I've moved out of the Caldwells now, sadly. But I want to come back. But when I order, I don't get to see them. When I go in, it could be 2 months that I haven't been there. When I walk in, they immediately know who I am. They know me
Oh,
by
they're
name.
excited.
It's unbelievable. Just lovely people. All right, we're going
So
to check
true.
it out. Erin Gloor, chairwoman of the Caldwell Street Fair. Busy lady. Thank you for joining us this morning. May it be the biggest and best ever this year.
Thanks, Ken. I really, really appreciate it and I look forward to seeing everyone there.
I'm going to be there. You will see me, I promise you. So I'll look for you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Have a great one, Erin. Thank you. It's really fun. You got to check it out. I promise you. I mean, there are a lot of great street fairs. We talk about a lot of them, and I try to get to as many as I can. That one is one I've been to, and it's great. I promise. 8:15 right now, 68 degrees. When we come back, it is National Punctuation Day. Mike and I will test each other out on our punctuation skills. I'm giving you air quotes, question mark, exclamation. We'll test each other and see if we know different punctuation that, let's just say, hasn't been the most popular over the years. Clouds this morning, showers on and off today, highs upper 70s, and meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. I should do this. I should say, the moon in your eye like a big pizza pie. That's amore. I just feel like doing something Buddhist Zen when I hear that rejoinder. Good morning. Welcome back to Odd New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:17, taking calls 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, also in an equally Zen mood as we prepare for our big punctuation contest on National Punctuation Day. Good morning, sir. And how's the Garden State forecast looking?
Garden State is looking nice. It's looking very pleasant today. Yeah, with a big exclamation point. The question mark, see what I did there, is that when those storms will arrive tomorrow, because they start to arrive later on tonight into tomorrow morning, giving us some downpours, making it feel more like a summery forecast rather than fall, as some clouds enter the picture right now from the west. So we start off the remainder of this morning in the mid and upper 70s, getting up to the low 80s across central New Jersey, and then tap into some more of those storms later on today. So where you see the red is where the fog is setting up, a little bit of that lower visibility. We call it a cool season fog, even though it's not all that cool right now, but quite a bit of high humidity around that will bring back the threat of some storms later on tonight into tomorrow morning, with tomorrow being a good soaking day. We'll get some wet weather in the morning, could tap into up to an inch of rain overnight into tomorrow morning, and then additional rainfall tomorrow afternoon with another round of storms. Not expected to be severe, but again, feeling more like summertime with this pattern as all these showers and storms are lined up off to our west, making their way to New Jersey through the course of this afternoon as well as tomorrow. Humidity high, unusually warm, in fact, with these dew points in the 70s statewide. It'll feel very muggy, even down toward Mount Holly and Medford. You see those dew points stick around and feel sticky right throughout the morning on Friday. Then by Friday afternoon, the cool front slides through, drops the humidity, makes it feel much more pleasant into the weekend, and still noticeably muggy for Saturday, but not that oppressive level of humidity, especially by September standards. Sunday, also dry, just a few clouds around. And then by Monday into Tuesday, watching and waiting to see what will happen with that system offshore. Maybe it brings back some rain our way. Again, and any rounds of tropical moisture are welcomed by this time of year, considering how dry it's been. But again, by Wednesday, most of that looks like it stays offshore. So it's one to watch going into next week at the very least. Likely cause some beach erosion for early next week. So for this weekend, we start off a little muggy. Temperatures climb into the mid 70s and then drying out by Sunday, getting up to 79 degrees. A warmer finish, but still looking great going into the weekend with that fall feel. Big exclamation point. Fall feel is ahead. I wonder if there's a punctuation mark that can describe like how we're in fall, but it feels like summer. Kind of that weird like question mark exclamation point thing.
I think I think we can come up with our own. I mean, in this era of
Maybe we could.
emojis, if people can make up emoji, is there some kind of an emoji committee? Because like it seems that when
There
there's a
is.
new emoji, there really is.
There really
That's
is an emoji
crazy.
committee. I think it's part of Unicode who kind of sets the standard globally.
Oh my God, that's just nuts. All right, so don't go away. I just have to do a quick traffic here, and then we're going to talk. Okay, so we'll be right
You got
back.
it.
Don't go away, Mike. All right, thank you, sir. We have some crashes to tell you about. There's a crash on 295 southbound at exit 34, Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Again, most of the accidents are happening down toward Philadelphia, and you could see why. There's a little fog in the air, damp roadways. So that person should not be out of their car unless that's a cop. If it's a cop, it's okay. Otherwise, it's a cop. All right, so a cop can do it because he has a safety vest. Generally speaking, if you have a breakdown or an accident, you do not get out of your car. You should stay in the car if you're on a highway because that is the safest place. In the event of another car hitting you, you stand a chance of surviving if you're in your car. So, but you can see the officer knows what he's doing. Okay, that's a good thing. But again, that is 295 southbound exit 34 Route 70 Cherry Hill. The left lane is closed. We have a disabled bus on the Bayonne Bridge now northbound Midspan in Staten Island, or as they say, Staten Island. Um, Sorry, they just do. The right lane is blocked. There's a crash on the Turnpike southbound, north of Interchange 3, Route 168 in Belmar, with two right lanes blocked. And a crash on the Turnpike inner roadway southbound, north of Interchange 12, which is Carteret Rahway and Linden. The left shoulder is blocked there. We have a crash investigation, Route 30 westbound by Baird Boulevard in Camden. Three right lanes are closed. That's a mess through there. And your Hudson River approaches have all been pretty decent today. I hope I don't jinx it. The Lincoln and the Holland are both only 20 minutes across right now. Take a look at the GWB upper and lower levels. Not so bad. It's moving actually very fast. Wow. That's Pam, is that about the fastest you've ever seen them drive? That's fast. Yeah, they're like right, like do 55. So I think all of that is because we have a gridlock alert week in Manhattan. The UN General Assembly's in session. You saw President Trump there yesterday. We've been saying avoid driving into Manhattan altogether if you can, or take mass transit or work from home if you can. At least avoid the Upper East Side. But I think a lot of people have heeded that advice, and that's why things are looking like they're looking right now. The Hudson River crossings. All right. 822, the moment I have been nervous about since yesterday. Today is National Punctuation Day. And if you are like a lot of the youngins, a lot of the youngins don't use punctuation. They just write run on sentences. And it drives me nuts. I'm sure it drives you nuts. The other thing is, I was talking with our producer, Izzy, yesterday about this, that you find that a lot of people who text a lot, and here, Pam, you can get in my ear and tell me if this is the case too. And you can bring Mike up at this point. If you text a lot, do you find that you use, oh, look at that. Do you find that you use a lot of exclamation marks? And why? And I have a theory. Okay, so Pam says yes. Because my father, who is 95, saw one of my texts and he said, not that I just showed him. He can't figure out the whole text thing. But I showed him and he said, why do you use so many exclamation marks? And he said, in my whole life, I've never used that many exclamation marks. And I have a theory. And the theory is when you send a message to somebody and you just put a period or no punctuation, you are worried in your mind they will take it to mean that you are being mean or unkind or unfriendly. And the exclamation mark is sort of like a smiley face. It's like,
Yes,
it's
true.
crazy, right?
Oh,
It's
it's true.
crazy. But if you say it's crazy, it sounds right. Am I wrong? So my theory is not off base.
I think you're absolutely right. And I always say, I'm a big proponent of this, that texts do not convey emotion. So no matter, that's probably why you're using. I can't say how many times I got in trouble with my wife for sending a text. She goes, "Wow, why would you say that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like this."
Uh-huh.
And so it's probably the punctuation is required. See, punctuation does save lives. So like it just showed up. And
I have
marriages.
right. My friends tell me that their kids never use the phone part of the phone. They only text.
Mm-hmm.
And, older adults, we tend to use the phone almost equally with texting. I mean, I know it's easy to just send a text and you don't have to stop and deal with the time, whatever. I get it. But, I think part of it is when you just do texting, you get into this, I better put punctuation so they know how I
Right.
feel mode,
Yeah.
right? So, anyway, it's National Punctuation Day. So there are all these, we just think of it as question mark, exclamation mark, period, comma. Of course, we also say exclamation point and question. Well, you don't say question point. You could say exclamation point or exclamation mark. Either one is correct, right? We have quotes, you have quotes, semi-quotes. When do you use a semi-quote?
I don't.
But there is a reason for it, right?
Right. There must be. Sure.
So if you are writing, say you are quoting somebody, and in the quote, their quote references a book. That's when you use a semiquote. So you have the quotation mark. So John said, comma, open quotes. I was going down the street when I stopped to buy the book, The Years Gone By. Now, because you're putting a quote within a quote, that's when you use the single quote of The Years Gone By. And then you close quote with the double quote. Got that?
Got it.
My master's is in Italian and Spanish, so I know how to do the quotes in those languages. I'm trying to translate it quickly into English right now. But you see to your left
Yes.
those triangle type things. That's how they do quotes in Europe, right? That's what it looks like there. They tend to do that as opposed to the we're supposed to guess them. Oh gosh. All right. So who goes here? Is it me or Mike? Tell me,
That's
Pam.
You should have the answer for this. I'm supposed to
Okay.
guess it.
So what do you think that is? Because that looks like a hybrid question mark
Question
exclamation
mark.
point.
So this would be, I guess, the shorthand of the text of putting the question mark exclamation point successively in a row. I guess they just combined it into one.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. What do you think they called it? They gave it a funny name.
They gave it a
This
name.
is random. Yes.
Oh, a question point.
See, you and I think the same. I would absolutely have said that, or a question, an excla question. But no, and by the way, when do you think they came up with that? What year?
Oh, recently, maybe, I don't know, 1980s.
I would have said that 1962. I don't know why they
Hmm.
would have come up with that in 1962. They call it the interrobang. I don't know. That's why it didn't catch on. That's why we still just do question mark
That sounds like
exclamation.
what happens if you eat raw chicken, the enterobang.
I'll try it later and I'll let you know tomorrow. Uh, let's let's bring, let's bring the next one. Pam's like, move it along, move it along. All right, let's see. So what do you think that looks like? The Spanish question mark.
It
Only that would
does,
be
just
upside
right
down.
side up. Right, right. So this is the one you have to guess.
I would say that is a the reverse of a question mark. So I have the answer.
I have the
We
answer. That
misspelled
is a
punctuation, by the way. Wait. We have punctuation misspelled. Pam will fix that. All right,
so
so
I
I would say
yeah.
that's
Okay.
that's the reverse. There we go. We'll change
The
it. So
reverse.
that's
Yes,
the
it's
reverse
a
question.
rhetorical question from the 1580s. To
My.
imply that the author is asking a question that they don't know the answer to, kind of like, well, a rhetorical question.
Go figure. But that does make sense, but it really
Yeah,
didn't catch on. It really didn't catch on. Go there. We fixed the National Punctuation Day. Thank you.
there it is.
All right, so I have to ask you the next one here. Let's see. Pam's like, I'm looking, Ken. I'm looking. There it is.
Ooh,
All right. So what do you think that represents?
it almost looks
That looks like a
Arabic.
boob.
Arabic,
That
maybe?
no, it's not. So this is called irony, and it's from
Ah.
1841, Brussels, Belgium. It indicates a state of affairs that is the opposite of what the reader expects, meant to be humorous. I just
Well,
think
that's
it
not
looks
fair. You
like
were there in Brussels at the time.
I helped invent it, actually. Yes, in 1841. To me, this looks like a profile of a woman who needs a good bra. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, Pam's like,
Next.
moving along. Oh, that has to be, let's see. That is an exclamama.
Exclamation comma. Yeah. But you're never going to guess where the origin is. It's from our friends up north in Canada from the
Oh,
90s.
Canada. Hey,
Yes. Yes. I don't
what
know.
year?
Looks like a typo. 92.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
but that was the interwebs were a new thing back then in 92.
Right.
Let's do
Kind of
one
does look
more
like a
each
hockey
if we
stick
can.
a little bit. A broken hockey
Yeah,
stick.
that you know what? That would make sense coming from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do
Mm-hmm.
this. Let's do this one. This is cute. Let's see if you could figure that one out.
Oh, do you love me or do you love me not? Question mark.
Yep, that is
Really?
exactly. Yeah, it's called a love point, and it's a
Huh.
formal way of a heart symbol meant to denote a sentence of affection. So that's exactly what that is. That could
Oh.
see that look today. That could work. But then again, we have emojis that kind of do that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I feel like emojis
yeah,
took
that could
over.
work. You want
Hmm.
to have Mike give me one more, and then we're done with
Okay.
this lovely episode.
So this, see, I think I saw this and I went, oh, this is what happens when you can't assemble the piece of IKEA furniture and you have all of the expletives that follow. Wait, I'm supposed to put that screw in 5 steps ago?
It's like, why do I have two extra screws? Where did they go?
Exactly.
What did I forget?
Right. I have
And
to go all the way
this one
back to
looks
IKEA
like
to
this
get more
one.
screws. Well, this is an acclamation about an enthusiastic demonstration of goodwill or honor. It was actually the written equivalent of the two flags on the front of the Pope's car
Oh,
from Paris,
interesting.
France.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you go. And Pam says that Pam. Oh, we have a caller. We should bring up a caller right now.
we should.
Let's bring up the
Yeah.
caller and see what the caller says. Good morning. You're live on New Jersey Mornings.
Hi, how are you today, Ken? Is this me?
Good. Who is this?
Hi, this is Jeff from Livingston, and I'm enjoying your show. And you talk about grammar and punctuation, and I just wanted to go back to the boring old exclamation point, which you talked about
Sure.
a few minutes ago. And by the way, you have 2 master's degrees. Is that what you said?
Yes, I do. It's crazy. Well, it's no, not two. I have a master's in Italian and Spanish. It's 1 degree, but yes.
Well, that's impressive. But the exclamation point, in my experience, many, let's say, writers and experts and English professors, don't like the exclamation point. Traditionally, maybe that's old-fashioned thinking because I'm kind of old. But I know one professor who would give his students in some writing class, they could use one exclamation point per semester. So what does your guest think about that, huh?
I love that. I think I mentioned, I don't know if you heard me say, my dad is 95, and he said in his whole life, he never used as many exclamation points as I used in one text to my mother. He said, I don't think. I've never used it my whole life, and it's just funny. It's a generational thing, I think, and a lot of it. Mike and I were saying that a lot of it, I think, has to do with you want to make sure you're not conveying a negative message to the person, so you put the exclamation mark like you would put a smiley face, just so that they know you're not being mean or you're not angry. But I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, where you're calling from, Livingston?
Yes, sir, Livingston. Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
listen,
I catch
please
the show
promise me
some.
you're going to. I appreciate it. Please promise me you're going to call again. And by the way, call and bitch at us all you want too. You could yell at us. You don't have to just. You're a very sweet man to give us a nice call, and that was fun. But if you hear something you don't like and you disagree with, direct it to Mike.
Okay, I will. In fact, I'll think up some mean stuff to say before I call next time. How about that?
I
All
appreciate
right.
it. You're a very nice man. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for calling in today. Take care,
Thanks
Jeff.
for a
Bye
great job.
bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye
I
now.
appreciate it.
Well, that
Wow,
was
that
a
was
nice
great.
call.
Perfect. Yes, it was a nice call. All right. Speaking of a nice call, we got to go to break here, or else I'm not going to get a nice call from our Pam. When we come back, walking for Huntington's disease, and we're going to talk all about that. Very important cause. I do know somebody who had that. Phone lines are open. Again, we will take your calls as you saw 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30. And a good morning to you. Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Straight to meteorologist Mike Vivetta with the full Garden State forecast. We didn't even give you a chance to catch your breath, Mike.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll keep this one quick. How about that? We start off this afternoon with some sunshine, warmer weather on the way. But as we head into tomorrow, that's when some thunderstorms come back. We could see some storms later on today in northern New Jersey, but it's really tomorrow the best chance of seeing some on and off scattered showers. They begin to occur later on tonight, lasting through tomorrow morning, and even finish out the day on your Thursday. As Friday comes in, the temperature starts to warm in the afternoon, but the humidity drops, and that in turn cools us off just a little bit for Saturday with some passing clouds. I think Sunday is the drier half of the weekend. It'll feel much more pleasant. And then by Monday and Tuesday of next week, watching and waiting to see if there's any tropical activity just offshore could throw back a shower our way. So for the shore points, again, very muggy for you, especially going into tomorrow with that high humidity lasting through Friday. And then it starts to clear out and cool off just a bit with the lower humidity by Saturday. Sunday brings back drier weather. And again, Monday and Tuesday, watching and waiting to see what happens offshore. At the very least, some coastal erosion with a potential tropical system offshore. But we're dry for this weekend for the most part. And that's the good news. Get out, enjoy, take all the punctuation and emojis with you if you want to use the punctuation. I think the emojis are helpful, or even the voice notes. Maybe that's how Europe has kind of transitioned. Everybody's doing the WhatsApp voice notes now, and
Yep.
sending those. I think that's the better way to fight that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I just started using them myself. But it's like, it's all leading us back to what? Phone calls.
It is, yeah, right.
Imagine that. All right. All right, Mike, we'll check back with you in a little bit. Thank you, sir. It is 70 degrees now at 8:37, and we have a gridlock alert week in Manhattan. The UN General Assembly is in session. Try to avoid driving into Manhattan altogether. Take mass transit or work from home if you can. Certainly avoid the Upper East Side. In terms of traffic, right now we have an issue on the New Jersey Turnpike. Inner roadway southbound north of interchange 12, which is in Linden. The left shoulder is blocked, and it's causing a backup by that exit. You see, so that exit takes you off to where that is, and that's why you have that issue right there. We have delays now at the Lincoln Tunnel, Center Tunnel eastbound, 25 minutes. The Holland Tunnel is only 15 to 20, and your upper and lower levels of the GWB moving beautifully. I think a lot of people heeded the advice, and they're not going into Manhattan because of the gridlock alert week that we have. Please try to take mass transit or work from home if you can. It is 8:38. John Stevens is president of the New Jersey chapter of the Huntington's Disease Society of America, also known as the HDSA. This Saturday, September 27th, the chapter is hosting its annual Team Hope Walk to help raise funds in the fight against Huntington's disease. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Ken, and thank you for having me on again. It was on back in May when we had May HD Awareness Month.
Exactly. Remember that? And we were still a baby show back then. So we appreciate that you came with us when we were still a little earlier in our progression and now. Tell everybody what Huntington's disease is, because I think it's confusing to a lot of people. We have so many, unfortunately, so many ailments out there that desperately need funds. So tell everyone what Huntington's is.
Sure, I'd love to. So Huntington's disease, or HD, is a rare genetic neurodegenerative disease. It's genetic because every child that's born to a parent with HD has a 50-50 chance of inheriting the gene that causes HD. And there is actually a gene in all of us called Huntington gene. In almost all of us, it's a very good gene, but unfortunately, in the people who inherit the Huntington gene, it turns out to be a bad gene. And there's a mistake in the DNA. And over time, that mistake releases toxic protein into the brain, which causes the disease. And the symptoms become involuntary movements, personality disorders, anxiety, depression, swallowing issues. And there's approximately 30 to 40,000 people in the United States that have HD, with another 200,000 at risk because of this genetic piece of it. And in New Jersey, there's probably 900 to 1,200 people with HD, with 7,000 at risk. Unfortunately, it's a fatal disease. There is no cure. There's some great research going on. But right now, there's no cure. There's medicine, obviously, for this symptoms like anger and depression, but no cure. And my relationship to HD is that my wife had HD for 15 years, was in a nursing home for the last 5, and passed away 3 years ago. And I have 3 daughters, and my youngest daughter tested positive for HD, which means 100% she will get the disease. And it's been called the devil of all diseases because it's like having Parkinson's, ALS, and Alzheimer's all in one disease.
What is the expected lifespan, or is it just different from person to person?
Yeah, it's hard because there's no boilerplate because it does vary by person, but the average is around 15 years, which was what when my wife was.
Mm. And so clearly genetic. I mean, if you were to have 2 people who both had Huntington's, so then you have a 100% chance of passing it on at that point. So the child will definitely get it. Is that the way it works?
Um, it's rare with both people. I don't think there's enough information to say it's 100%. It tends to be, it's probably a true statement, Ken. I just haven't heard that specifically.
Because I'm guessing it's such a rare ailment that the chances of having 2 people who have it and then getting married and having kids or whatever is I'm sure rare.
Right.
A horrible, if you will, death sentence. And knowing that in the back of your head you have a lifespan. And we all have lifespans. It could tomorrow I can get hit by a bus. It could
Right.
happen. But to know, it's almost like, do you need to know? Do you want to know, or do you wish you didn't know? That's the horrible thing about it. The good news is HDSA gets great support. So talk about the support that HDSA is offering families.
Yeah, so HCSA, our mission is to improve the lives of individuals and families that are affected by Huntington's disease, and there's various components to that. HDSA provides family services, whether it's support groups. We have social workers that are on the staff. We do a lot of education and awareness. As I said, May was HD Awareness Month, and we do education days. We were actually at Rutgers University a few weeks ago, and we gave a a presentation to first-year medical students. There was 175 in the audience, and four of us talked about our journey with HD, and they were so engaged, great questions. And we're going to do Drexel University in February, so we do a lot of that type of thing. We do advocate both at the state and federal level for laws and funding. And funding is a huge issue. We have a Center of Excellence in New Jersey, that's where people with HD can go to and get help with psychiatry and neurology. And the funding was cut to zero this year, so we're going to be back in front of the budget committees this year trying to get that funding back. And we do an awful lot of fundraising to raise money to do all the things that we do for the HD community here in New Jersey.
I was just talking a little earlier with a doctor from Hackensack Meridian, and we were talking about the fact, brought up the issue, the fewer people who have a disease or an ailment, the harder it is to get funds, right? When it's more people, it's easier to get funds because you have kind of a more of a push. You have more individuals, et cetera. When it's fewer people, it's always much more of a challenge. And it's just an insipid disease, a horrible thing to have. I remember a friend of mine telling me about genetic diseases like that. It's almost like a zipper that's off by one notch, and you zip the whole way up, but the genes don't match up the way they're supposed to match up. And that's sort of I mean, I'm trying to use a simple analogy for what this is, but as you said, that then impacts your brain, it impacts, et cetera, all the neurological aspects of your body. You would think that with gene splicing and things like that, that there would be some kind of advancement. Have they talked about that, going down that research path?
Absolutely. There's a lot going on. What I find fascinating is that there's like I said before, there's tons of research going on, but it's not sometimes your typical research that they may do for diabetes or those types. But this is they're more looking at like a CRISPR where they can go back. What they're looking at is to go in and repair that gene or replace that gene. And some of the studies that are going on today, they'll actually inject you in your lumbar, and the medicine will go right to that gene, and the hope is that it'll turn it off. If you think about all the genes that are in your body, they're working out a mechanism to target that gene and turn it off. And probably in the early stages, they'll turn it, the force it won't be all the way, but it'll slow down the progression. But the hope over time, either will replace the gene or will just turn it off completely, which is, when you think about it, is fascinating. And the last 5-10 years has been incredible. And just think where they're going to be 5-10 years from now.
Absolutely. We can only hope. Let's hope it comes sooner than 5 or 10 years. But yes, because things seem to be moving exponentially. Let's not forget to talk about this weekend's walk. It's the Team Hope Walk. It's in Edison. Talk about where it is and when it starts, so we get people out there.
Sure. So, we've had some great events this year. We had an event at Top Golf in Edison in March, which was record attendance and fundraising. We had an event May 2nd at 5K Run Walk in Bar A, Belmar. Again, attendance and record-breaking amount of money we raised. For the first time ever, we had an event at the Jersey Shore Blue Claws, which was fantastic. Beautiful night. The Blue Claws won in the 9th inning, and we had 102 people there. And this Saturday, as you said, Ken, on September 27th at Roosevelt Park in Edison, right next to Menlo Park Mall, we're having our annual Team Hope Walk. Registration's at 9:30. The walk starts at 11. And when I say walk, if you haven't been to Roosevelt Park, there's a lake at Roosevelt. There's a half a mile, and we take one walk around the lake. Very casual. We have teams, and we all have our team signs, and it's create awareness. And the event is really obviously to raise money, but to bring the HD community together, give people a place to go and feel like they belong to a community, to meet people, to connect with people, to bring awareness, and obviously to have fun. We have a special guest that day. Sparky from the Somerset Patriots is coming, and who doesn't love Sparky? And the kids love him. We have an American barbecue. We have a DJ, so there'll be music. We have a 50-50. We have a Tricky Tray raffles, and we have over 50 baskets that we're going to be giving, raffling off. And we have a silent auction, and we have some really great gifts that you can bid on. Um, it's a fun day. It's a great day. You won't be disappointed. And might work on that weather on Saturday. I don't want to see any raindrops in the forecast whatsoever. And if you're interested in coming, you can go to hdsanj.org, hdsanj.org. Click on that. You'll see on the right hand side events. Click on that, and then you'll see the 2005 Team Hope Walk. You click on that, and it'll take you to registration, or if you would just like to make a donation. Great day it's a great event for a great cause. You won't be
Team Hope
disappointed.
Walk. Team Hope Walk this Saturday, September 27th at Roosevelt Park in Edison. John Stevens, president of the New Jersey chapter of the Huntington's Disease Society of America, HDSA. Thank you for coming on this morning, John. Good to see you
Thank
again.
you, Ken. And Ken, can
You
I just
bet.
say one more quick thing?
Sure.
On November
Yeah.
2nd at Lisa's Chateau in Lakewood, we're going to have what we call the Community Day, Education Day. It's free. And the purpose is to educate people about Huntington's disease. So that's our next event. And if you want, I can come on and talk about it just before that too. But thank you for
You
having me. I really appreciate it. Keep doing the great work. And every year I'll come on, and you'll be more mature every time I come on.
John, you have the invitation right now. So just set it up with Gerald. You're on automatically. All right, my friend. You're
Thank you.
always welcome on, pal. All right.
Thank you
God
so
bless you
much.
and best of luck
Appreciate it.
with the fundraiser. You got it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is 8:49 right now. Quick check of the Garden State forecast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta standing by. We got some schmutzy, danky kind of humid weather today. You like the schmutzy, danky?
Yeah, schmutzy, danky, a little dreary, but there's some sun around right now. It just makes it feel very humid through this afternoon. Not exactly like a fall feel, more like a midsummer, especially with the highs in the 80s, high humidity. Breaks of sun today, but the threat of some showers looms, especially for this afternoon into tonight, with those temperatures cooling off. And then just becoming more humid. We could really use the rain, though. The drought is persistent, especially across northern New Jersey, with the 1 to 2 inches of a rainfall deficit, better at the shore, but everybody taps into the rain today. And then we keep an eye toward the tropics, where these two areas have a high chance of becoming named storms in the next day or two. We'll wait and see what the Hurricane Center thinks after they send out the hurricane hunters later today. A lot of heat coming up for the Midwest, and that extends even here into New Jersey for the first week of October and even going into the next month. I think we'll see average chances of rainfall. So with a wet period today and tonight into tomorrow, it stays wet throughout early in the morning on Friday and then gradually clears. So any plans this weekend? And I heard him. Yeah, we're looking for some dry weather on Saturday. I have the outdoor plans too, so of course it's going to be dry. Lovely weather on the way for Saturday, drying air as well, and with less humidity by Sunday, it looks very pleasant. Monday and Tuesday, as of now, could have a mix of clouds and sun, but the concern might be at the coast with a coastal system that could cause some beach erosion. Other than that, the shore points feature some warm, wet weather until Friday, and then Saturday turns dry. I think Monday and Tuesday also fair amount of clouds with cooler weather. So the autumn weather will be arriving shortly. It's just a little delayed. It's taking its time. Probably got stuck at the bridge with those tolls because it is gridlock alert week. So even the weather is taking note.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, we'll see. Let fall come in the middle of March. So we'll have fall for a week and then we'll have spring and we're good. I'm fine with that. All right. Mike, we'll check back tomorrow, actually. It's our
See you
last
tomorrow.
update. So thank you very much, sir. Enjoy your day. 71 degrees now, 8:51. And we just want to give you some breaking news. 3 people critically wounded at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas. There was a shooting there, active shooter. Pardon me. So 3 people critically wounded at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement office in Dallas. You keep calling people who are doing their jobs, their ICE enforcement, whether you like it or not. Stop calling them tyrants and lawbreakers and anti-constitutional. They are doing what they were hired to do. Congress enacted the law. If you don't like it, have Congress change the law. But you don't go shooting people at an ICE facility because you don't agree with it. Sorry. So we'll, of course, keep you updated. You can keep watching the channel and we'll update you through the day on that. 8:52. Iron Culture Gym just opened its newest location in West Orange, and founder Arthur Imperatore, I'm going to ask him to correct me, please, is here to tell us what makes this new space different. Is it Imperatore?
In Italian, yes, we like to say
Imperatore. You know, it means emperor. That's what it means. Imperatore means so I'm going to call you emperor. How about that?
oh boy, yeah, it's a
So
power name for sure.
that's a good thing. So tell us why iron culture has become the name to watch in the fitness world, Arthur.
Well, I started my first iron culture 6 years ago in Cedar Knolls, and I've been a lifter my whole life. I started at 15, so I've been to pretty much all the gyms in the state. And my idea of a good time when I travel is to go seek out the independent gyms to see how they do things. And so I got a lot of experience over the years. And it occurred to me that, the hardcore gym, people who go there just to lift and get big and, do powerlifting or bodybuilding. I love those types of gyms, but they're really not for the general fitness market. They're very specialized. They can be quite intimidating. And, I was also a member of the Equinox and Summit. Now, Equinox is very different. It's high end. It's beautifully designed. The staffing is excellent. But no disrespect to Equinox, the weight room is mediocre. So it occurred to me to put the two concepts together, to have the best weight room, along with the best amenities, the best staffing and design, to create what we call a high-end hardcore approach to weightlifting gyms.
Yeah,
And
it's funny you
we
say that.
carried
I'm
that
sorry. Please
forward.
continue. I didn't mean to step on you. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. We carried that forward to our second gym in North Bergen about 3 years ago, which was a level up. This third gym is our biggest, our best, and really the model for the future. And it really is a total experience, if I can call it that,
So
where
let,
everything works together.
So here's
And it's
here's the question, Arthur, because I'm not a gym guy. My husband is Mr. Jim since he's 14. He's like you. He when we go on vacation, we don't pick a hotel or resort, whatever, unless he's first approved the gym himself that's in the facility, or else we'd rather go to a no-name hotel as long as it has a great gym than a great hotel with just a fitness room. He doesn't want a fitness room.
I
He also
identify
have,
with
so
that.
exactly. So and I'm good. I'm fine with that. I sleep when he goes to the gym. It's all good. I'll just nap and I'll order breakfast in. You go to the gym, go work out. Um but the question is you get so many people who don't respect a gym. Like when they go to the gym, they don't wipe down, they don't, that how do you
Mhm,
deal with having the real weights, free
mhm,
weights, and then
mhm.
at the same time you want to have that high end environment with the that equipment is extremely expensive. How do you
Right.
combine those two?
Well, first of all, I think most of our core members are experienced gym people, so they know gym etiquette and they're very respectful of the equipment and other members' experiences. So we really don't have to police them that much. But to the extent that we do, we have floor techs who work full time during the day to re-rack weights, to wipe down machines. We have a great emphasis on cleanliness. Cleanliness is one of the biggest concerns of people who go to a gym, and that is one of our top priorities. So order, cleanliness, and gym etiquette are really very much a part of the iron culture experience.
What Arthur, what about somebody who wants to come in with a train? I mean, is it okay to come in with a trainer, or is that not, like, is that for somebody, your gym's for somebody a little bit more experienced than that?
Well, I should mention that in addition to the weight room, which is really the core of our business, we also have the best training staff in the state. Highly
Perfect.
trained professionals, very motivated, and the training department works obviously in tandem with the weight room. And our appeal, I think, is that we are open to everybody. We don't want to be intimidating. We want to be welcoming. There are a lot of aspirational lifters out there who want to learn, who want to look better, feel better, not just the big, meathead bodybuilders. And we have a fair
Right.
number of those. But if you go to an iron culture, you'll see people of all ages, both sexes, and a lot of beginners, a lot of newbies, and they feel comfortable in this environment. And I think that's been probably one of our greatest accomplishments, is making a hardcore gym feel accessible and welcoming to a general fitness population.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I remember when I used to weigh 360 pounds, and I remember, I mean, I'm 182 now. You can see this jacket is like swimming.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. But the problem is I really need to do more toning and core work and everything else. And I only bring it up because like I did one of the baby entry level gyms, which I won't even mention the name. You probably know what I'm talking about. And the few times that my other half came with me, he was like, I can't even work out in here. The free weights only go up to 20 pounds. I can't do it. So you know, seriously, you know, that's the issue with the entry level gyms. But it's nice to know that there's an experience with Iron Culture where you still welcome somebody like me, but somebody like my husband, and we could both go there and have a good experience.
Yes, you know, that really, I mean, I guess that was an insight I had. We want to, obviously we want to make money as a business. And, you know, it's difficult to do that if you specialize too much in what I call the meathead population, right? But more important than that, you know, we want to bring like the mission of fitness to as many people as possible because it is a lifestyle. You know, it's a discipline. It's not just looking good for the beach, nothing wrong with that. But, you know, it has so many benefits, physical and mental and emotional, that, you know, we consider our mission as a company, you know, to make the experience as available to as many people as possible. And I think we've done a pretty good job.
Arthur, I got to cut you only because it's literally the end of the show right now. Quickly, what's your email address? Your website address.
It's ironculturegym.com.
ironculturegym.com. Arthur Imperatore, or Imperator, founder of Iron Culture Gym, the newest location opening in West Orange. Thank you for coming on. We're going to check you out, Arthur.
Great. Thank you
Have
so
a good
much.
day, everybody.